Hello, teacher. I'm talking about my lesson plan number 9. The topic is passive voice. I done for grade 1st baccalaureate or 8th basic education. Duration of the class is 45 minutes. The proficiency level is elementary, A2.2, the Common European Framework of Reference for Language CEFR is an international standard for describing language ability. Objectives during this lesson. Students will be able to, for listening, will be able to distinguish between active and passive voice. For speaking, will be able to introducing a piece of new. For reading, will be able to inferring. For writing, will be able to generating ideas. Methodology. I use communicative language teaching, CLT, or the communicative approach. It's an approach to language teaching that emphasizes interaction as both the means and the ultimate goal of the study, and use PPP, presentation, practice, and production. The teacher presents the target language and then gives the students the opportunity to practice. It sounds very controlled activities. For strategies, I use visual and work in pairs. In anticipatory set, students should know the parts of the sentences in active voice. For example, I will clean the house every Saturday. The company requires the staff to watch a safety video every year. Gives more examples and the students remember the active voice. Main teaching input. For warm up, grade the students and show sentences and a listening presentation who or what is more important in the sentence. For example, read these sentences. I think who or what is more important in age. My grandpa built the house in 1893. The house was built by my grandpa in 1893. Many people live here saved by the volunteers. The volunteers saved many people's lives. The students analyze these sentences and choose who or what is more important. For example, my grandpa built the house, or the house was built by my grandpa. Second, I present when, why do we use the passive voice. The passive voice is used when we want to focus attention on the person or thing affected by the action. Normally, the performer of the action or the agent comes first and is made the subject of the verb, and then we use the active form of the verb. We often prefer to use the passive voice when we do not know who the agent is, when it's obvious to listener or reader who is the agent is, when it's not important to know who is the agent is, when the agent has already been mentioned, when people in general are the agent. How do we form the passive voice? First step, identify what is the subject, verb tense, and object. For example, Santana was playing the guitar. Santana, subject. Playing, verb. Object, the guitar. The guitar was being played by Santana. Second step, move the object, the guitar. Conjugate the verb, was being, verb. Enter past participle, players, past participle. Decide what to do with the subject. By Santana is the subject. And a demonstration when form, the passive voice, are made up of the appropriate form of the verb to be, followed by the past participle form of the verb. For example, in present simple, am, is, are plus past participle. For example, how is this word pronounced? In present perfect simple, has or have been plus past participle. For example, he just been sick. For past simple, was or were plus past participle. Example, all his credit cards were stolen last week. For past continuous, was, were, paying plus past participle. Example, he was being treated for depression when he won the lottery. For future simple, will be plus past participle. The house context will be accounted a week on Saturday. For infinitive, to be plus past participle. For example, exams have to be taken almost every year you are at school. For clarification, teacher concludes the class by reviewing the topic briefly. For modeling, after the teacher showed the grammar and rules about the passive voice, the students are read for answer the sentences with passive voice in PowerPoint presentation. I create different sentences in active voice and the students participate creating the passive voice. For example, Harry ate 6 ribs at dinner. This is passive active voice. In passive voice, the answer is at dinner, 6 ribs were eaten by Harry. In active voice, beautiful giraffes roam the savannah. The savannah is roamed by beautiful giraffes. In active voice, we are going to watch a movie tonight. In passive voice, a movie is going to be watched by you tonight. For guided practice, students in pair change active voice sentences into passive voice sentences example in PowerPoint presentation. Independent practice. The students work on the worksheet, rewrite the sentences, use passive form, the teacher review the correct answer. This is work in the class, this is a worksheet, the students can complete the sentences. For example, the first, Egypt built the pyramids thousands of years ago. The pyramids were built thousands of years ago. The students need complete in the class. For assessment, during the class activity, teachers observe and give immediate feedback to the students. For closing review or follow-up for homework, the students work in the worksheet, complete 18 sentences to score your knowledge of passive voice and active. The students need work in your house. They give different questions. They need to choose the correct answers. Finally, in this class, every student to speak, even the ones to fly under the radar trying not to participate for fear or shame. The main teacher also includes himself in the activity. Even though reading is my favorite hobby and I am looking forward to put it in action, not all students were jumping with the idea. Some students were not familiar with certain words and needed additional help. However, during the other activities related to the reading and working together in groups will make a huge difference. The lesson plans will be effective to draw an idea of what I will want from the students, but what I am felt the core and the blueprint of my class is PowerPoint presentation. I will check my planning all time, but the presentation is essential in the class. Thank you.